cat meows. And
What side did you sit? You're big. Aren't you a class A?
yeah, 35.
So are we. And you can get in there?
You should see the motorhomes.
I drive, so it's another
No,
story.
but it's a nice windy road to get down to it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure that.
But it's just out in the middle of the forest. I mean, you can't. Yeah, it's just a campground. I mean, across the street is a golf course. But they don't give you a break if you. You know what I mean?
The only way in there is the windy road.
It's windy.
Oh, yeah. I don't do windy.
Yeah, but doesn't sound right.
Very rarely.
Really? No, it's a windy steep going down to it.
Yeah.
To the water.
Is it windier than going down?
See, I'm in the Half Moon Bay.
You guys ready?
Well, you have a cute little whatever.
Good evening and welcome to the first council meeting of 2016, Monday, January 11th. Can we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Vierra,
Here.
Vice Mayor Kline,
Here.
Councilmember Durossette,
Here.
Councilmember Lane,
Here.
and Councilmember Ryno.
Here.
Next, we will have the invocation by Pastor Jeff Hilbert from Believers Family Church. See,
Not here.
not here.
I'm sure.
Mr. Britton, would you do us the honors then, please?
Our eternal Father in heaven, we're so thankful, Father, for the many blessings that we enjoy. We're thankful for this new year and the opportunities it brings for us. We're thankful for our freedom to govern ourselves and for the council people that serve us so diligently. Father, we ask you to bless them with thy inspiration they might do and say the things that will benefit the citizens of Ceres. We ask you to bless all those that work here that we might be able to provide the services for the citizens that we need. Bless those that are serving in the armed forces and bring them home to us soon in safety. And we ask these things in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Britton. Next, we will move to presentations. We have one. It's Unmet Transit Needs Assessment presentation by Regina Valentine, Associate Planner with StanCOG.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Regina Valentine, and I'm with the Stanislaus Council of Governments. I want to thank you for allowing me to present to you tonight about the Transportation Development Act and Unmet Transit Needs process. So who is the Stanislaus Council of Governments? We are a joint powers authority composed of representatives from each city and the county of Stanislaus. I'd like to recognize Vice Mayor Kline, who serves on our policy board representing the city of Ceres. We serve as the Metropolitan Planning Organization and Regional Transportation Planning Agency for the Stanislaus region. StanCOG is responsible for addressing regional transportation issues, including public transit. Regarding public transit, StanCOG administers the Transportation Development Act funds, which has two funding sources. There's a local transportation fund derived from a quarter-cent sales tax statewide. Our portion last fiscal year was around $20 million. And the state transit assistant funds, which is derived from a statewide sales tax on gas and diesel, and our portion last fiscal year was around $3 million. StanCOG has responsibilities according to the TDA. Every 5 years, the terms unmet transit need and reasonable to meet must be defined. Although there are lengthy checklists for these terms, in general, an unmet transit need cannot duplicate existing services, and for it to be considered reasonable to meet, it cannot cause the transit system to fail performance standards. Annually, StanCOG is required to conduct at least one public hearing and prepare an unmet transit needs analysis report. Also, StanCOG must resolve any unmet transit needs that are reasonable to meet before local transportation funds can be used for non-transit purposes. There are 4 major steps in the unmet transit needs assessment process. Public hearings are held to receive comments about potential unmet transit needs. Next, potential unmet transit needs are analyzed according to StanCOG's adopted definitions and included in a report for the StanCOG Policy Board approval. then any unmet transit needs determined to be reasonable to meet must be funded before the local transportation funds can be used for non-transit purposes in the region. Currently, we're in the public hearing phase of the process, and I'm here to hopefully spread the word and encourage public participation. I really enjoy holding these public hearings because it provides us an opportunity to meet with the riders one-on-one, receive feedback, and answer any questions people may have about the transit services available in our region. So this year we will be holding 4 unmet transit needs public hearings. So far we've held hearings in Modesto, Patterson, and Oakdale over the last few months. And our next hearing will be held here at the Community Center on January 19th at 6 p.m. and we will have a Spanish interpreter available. In closing, I can answer any questions you may have, and you're welcome to contact me if you feel there are any unmet transit needs we should consider this year. And I appreciate you allowing me to speak with you tonight.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the council that has any questions for Regina? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Citizens' communication to council on matters not included on the agenda. While the city council welcomes and encourages participation in city council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes for expression of non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the city council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the city council from taking action on any matter which is not on the posted agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the city council. Citizens are entitled to address the city council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. At this time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on a non-agenda item?
Dave Pratt of Ceres. My bad. I said I was going to try to stop from wasting taxpayers' money, and I didn't do it. And when the new bike path came before the council meeting, I was out of town. You know, now's a good time, now the canal is empty, that you ought to be able to go and get all your boulders and rocks out of the canals. And maybe you might use some of that money to clean up the trash and the weeds. Thank you.
Leonard Shepard, 2841 Fowler Road, number 71. I guess you know I'm not afraid to speak my mind. So, 2016, a new year, and we have an opportunity as citizens, and I'm glad to see there's at least 3 or 4 here beside myself and my wife, to make some big strides in making Ceres a great place, a better great place to live. One of the things I think you guys up there should think about doing is going back over some of the ordinances that have been passed in the last 20 years since I've been attending meetings, and look at some that are really, in my own opinion, egregious against the public. And 2 of those really stick out in my mind, and one is the fact that an honest, tax-paying citizen can't go to the public parks and have a glass of wine at their picnic just because some lowlifes caused a problem for 2 or 3 people, so the whole citizenry has to suffer. Same thing with smoking in the park. Now, I can tell you, the U.S. government tried with a constitutional amendment to end alcohol consumption in the United States. A few years later, they realized that the alcohol consumption in the United States had increased measurably, and that everybody and his brother was making alcohol, and they were hiding it in their big boots and stuff, and that's where they got the term bootlegger, because these people were making alcohol, providing it to the people who at one time were good, honest citizens, but then they said, our government can't do this to us. So think about that. Think about, do you really think that the people that use our parks aren't smoking and drinking there? If you do, go out there sometime, just walk around, and you'll find out on a Saturday or Sunday, there's people drinking beer and wine at their picnics, smoking cigarettes. And so I think you ought to take a look at some of those. But I do think that we have an opportunity to really do some good for the citizens, and hopefully we can get the citizens to do something for themselves. But that's a pipe dream of mine, is that every citizen, that this place would be completely and totally filled with chairs full of people. And you'd be up there looking out going, what the heck? Hey, maybe this is a good thing. All those people sitting out there taking part in their government. So maybe we ought to, while we're doing our praying for the citizens, we ought to pray that they all take a hint and come and take part in the government that they elected you for, and not be so darn lazy that they can't get up off the couch and turn the DVR on to watch Monday Night Football on Tuesday. So I just hope that all of you will remember that everything you do up there and any decision you make will be affecting people for a long time after you're off the city council. And maybe you might be in your old home, in your old age, and it's still affecting people. So think about that. But I think that you guys have done an outstanding job. This past year, we didn't go broke. We didn't have a lot of political scandal like some of our neighbors in the communities around us. And so I may be one of your biggest critics, but I think also I'm one of your biggest cheerleaders. You've done a good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak to the council on a non-agenda item?
My name's Shane Parson. I live in the country in Ceres, business owner here in town. And this afternoon it's gotten better, but this morning I got a phone call from a gentleman here in town pertaining to see if he could advertise or put my arena on a sign at the soccer field. And he wanted to know if that would be okay. And I said, certainly. I said, who's doing the signs? And he said, I don't know, somebody out of town. And I said, really? About 2 or 3 months ago, I'd met with Tracy and we talked about, she wanted to see if I'd be willing to put up $30,000 to put or $25,000 to put a sign out there. It's a little rich for my blood, but anyway, that being said, at that point in time, I said, who's going to do the signs? We'll let you know. Well, I was not given the knowledge of who's going to do the signs. So this afternoon, I met with Daryl, calmed down a little bit. I'm a little bit upset over some of the things that are done. I continually try to support downtown, support any activity that I can do here in town. Last month, I gave $500 to the police to give toys away. Every time I'm asked for something, I try to give as much as I can. I feel sometimes, like we had tried to do the shirts here for the city. Oh, well, we can get them done over the internet cheaper because they'll embroider for free. I'm not sure if spending our dollars on the internet or spending our dollars in Modesto or spending our dollars somewhere else is going to create business downtown. CYB, all I do is get jerked around by them every time we try to do a bid there. Many times these things come up. I'm certainly asked to give money, but most of the time I'm not asked to try to make a little. So it gets a little bit old. I just thought I'd bring that to the council's attention. to see if there's some way we can get some directive there to try to promote business. I've got more buildings going into escrow tomorrow downtown. My offers were accepted today. I'm not sure how much I want to keep spending here. If I don't get supported back and spend, all my employees live here, they spend their dollars here. Whether you can save a penny here, but you gain $1 over here, I'm having a tough time with that. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to bring it to council's attention. Thank you.
Along those lines, I know we've talked about this a lot. What more can we do? I think we've all seen what Mr. Parsons does for the community every time that we have something going on. And I know we talk about it when we bring the CYB contracts up. I know we talked about it years ago when we were purchasing vehicles in Sacramento instead of for Country Ford. We've talked about it sometimes when there was some engineering contracts, and I know trying to get GDR and others in Ceres involved. What can we do? What message or direction do we need to give to staff to say, purchasing and spending locally within reason is what we as a council want? And I know you can't, Toby, I'm going to direct this at you, but obviously you can't oversee everything that they're doing. But the edict that comes out there, I think, as long as it's within reason, even if we're spending a little bit more for local, I know that there are some statistics out there that show for every dollar that's spent in our community, how many times around that dollar generates other things. And so whether it's the cost less markets or, his embroidery place or any of the other things, it keeps people employed. And to the greatest extent that we can do that, I sure would really like to see that. And, I don't know what we need to do. I know we can't put anything in place per se, but.
Well, actually, you already have. In our purchasing policy, we already have a local provision in there, but we have to follow the purchasing policy as well, which allows us to, depending on the threshold, right, under $2,000 does not require a bid, but there already is local preference for when there is a bid where you have that ability. But it also depends on the funding source as well as the process. The specific issue that Mr. Parsons is bringing up this evening was a public works contract. So the signs were, the building of the signs were part of that contract. So we don't have the ability under a public works contract to have a local preference. The public works contract is governed by the state code, so you can't do that on that particular. So in this particular case, we'd had to take those signs out of that contract and done those separately. And then, had the signs, had the actual frame of them built, and then do the signs separately. We didn't do that in this case. We just did it all as one public works contract. So it's a little different. So it really kind of depends on the specific item that we're looking at. And again, our policy already has some provisions in there. We could look at seeing if there's potential ways to strengthen those, primarily on those purchases that are under $2,000 and don't require a bidding process. That's where there's probably the most flexibility in that threshold under $2,000. Once you get above that, where our policy requires the 3 bids, we can get, we can put some additional strength in there, but that would be the most likely place to try to incorporate the council's direction would be in there.
Okay.
But some of that also is in our ordinance.
Vice Mayor Kline?
Is there some way to notify local businesses or contractors and when something is going up for bid that have not been a part of the process in the past, that they would like to participate in it? I know that there are certain requirements, and sometimes we've had bids in front of us that were not completed or anything like that, but at least it starts the process of them knowing where to go, where to see it, and that have never done it before.
Those are our public works contracts, and those CIP projects, those are on our website regularly. What we're talking about here are things that are much smaller in nature and don't follow that normal process. And it's really up to the departments on how they conduct that bid process. But we can look and see if there's other ways to incorporate that bidding process. But
it's pretty comprehensive. We're talking about every department has some level of purchase that is, from anywhere from a $500 contract to, like I said, the Public Works doing a $2.5 million project. So there's a large spectrum in between.
And I think where we are capturing some of that is in the large contracts, but when it comes to, as Obi mentioned, the smaller stuff, I think we can do a better job. And by that I mean whether it's T-shirts, decals, toiletries, we have businesses in town that do it. This afternoon, you and I go to somebody small, independent, doing insurance. Right around the corner is, Randy Myers CPR place. I mean, we have lots of businesses in town that we need to make sure that the message, and again, I can't say it enough, I hope that staff, and I'm not just talking about Mr. Wells, but all of our staff who is involved in purchasing doesn't just push that's the easy button. I've always gotten it from, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because that's where I've always done it. And I've saved $5 because of it. And I understand we all have budgets and we have to be there. But in the big picture, that $5, if we spent that locally, would generate jobs and other things that, we all want a vibrant downtown. We all want shopping and dining. And into that fact, anytime lunches are catered, now obviously the council doesn't cater lunches or dinners anymore, but when those activities are done here, and I think for the most part we do use local restaurants, but we should always continue to do that because it does create revenue that gets spent over and over in our city. So just along those lines, I don't know what to put in place. I don't know how many times that we need to say it, but I would just encourage anyone on staff, as you go to do your purchasing, take an extra minute or two to say, do we have someone in town that could locally do that? Whether it be a printer, or whether it be, a restaurant, candy manufacturers or whatever. There's lots of different ways that we can utilize businesses that are in our community. So I don't know if there was any other comments anyone else had on that. Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on a non-agenda item? Okay. With that, we will move to appointments to boards and commissions. We have a list of appointments for 2016. Is everyone okay with those, with the exception of, and I want to talk about the surface water meeting to see about that. Is everybody okay with the other appointments, or is there some that are conflicts for you, or you would prefer to do something else? No? All right, well then let's tackle the surface water meeting. As previously, this has been one individual and an alternate. I was serving on there, and then I think Councilmember Vice Mayor Durossette was the alternate. As a result of recent happenings where the city of Modesto has pulled out of the Joint Powers Authority, that has left just the cities of Turlock and Ceres taking part. And so Mayor Soyseth and I are sitting in the meeting, and he makes a motion, I second, and we call for a vote, and that doesn't work too well. So we have agreed, and the JPA has set forth new parameters that will require an additional member from the city of Turlock, an additional member from the city of Ceres, so that we do have 4 members, and we can get by with a majority and not create the potential for if Gary and I want to go to dinner, it's not viewed as a conflict of interest. Brown Act violation, I should say. So, with that, this committee is meeting every other Thursday at 10 a.m. The meetings usually last anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. We're just getting started with this. This probably could be a 3 to 5 year run that we'll have before we actually get into what would be a construction side of things. So with that, I know that's a big time commitment for people when you're working, so I don't know who would have some interest in serving with me on that, but I'll open it up now. And
Well, when you say every other Thursday, are you like the first and third Thursday? Do you just do,
well, right now we're doing we've only been going once a month. We're now ratcheting it up to, I think it's every 2 weeks.
It's actually twice a month.
Oh,
so
twice a
it's,
month, okay.
Second and fourth Thursdays.
and you predetermine, not like council meetings are, the second Monday and the fourth.
Yes,
I mean, are
second
you?
and, second
Yeah,
and fourth Thursdays.
Yeah, it's the second and fourth, and I think the way we've left it right now, it will always be in Turlock? Or are we talking about rotating?
As of right now, the direction was in Turlock for the board meetings, and then the TAC meetings will be here in Ceres. So that's the trade-off that we did.
The TAC is the Technical Advisory Committee, but you're not on that. So, and then additionally, where the JPA is right now is we're getting started with the environmental work and how it might be funded. So there may be, in addition to those meetings, field trips to see up to, is it Woodland?
There's a number of those plants, everywhere from Woodland to Lodi to Fresno. There's a bunch of those. Within a 3-hour drive that will be coming up as we're taking tours. But Woodland is the most likely candidate.
And those are jurisdictions that have gone through the process of setting up a surface water treatment facility and how they use either public-private funding or other things to do it. So it would include potentially that time with staff members, though. But I have to have one of you, so you will either have to arm wrestle it out or else if I can't get one.
Mayor, I can do that.
Okay, well, I made a guess that you would be the one, so you're on the list, so we'll keep it at that. So, all right, with that, do I need a motion? Tom?
I would, yes, Mayor.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the committee appointments for 2016.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Durossette,
Yes.
Councilmember Lane,
Yes.
Councilmember Kline,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno,
Yes.
and Mayor Vierra.
Yes. Light is flashing up here, but it
That was me.
says,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
It says Dean, but I know Dean's sitting over there, so, and I know she doesn't have a button, so, all right. With that, we will move to conflict of interest declaration. Is there anyone on the council that would like to declare a conflict of interest on any of the 10 consent calendar items?
I do have a question for the city attorney. On the number 4 registered audit and demands, since I got a refund and Councilmember Durossette got a refund and it's part of the registered audits and demands, should we abstain?
Yeah, we'll just note your abstentions. You don't have to leave the dais. That's the
Okay.
way I'd recommend, yes.
Okay. With that, all matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by roll call vote. Is there anyone on the council that would like a consent calendar item pulled for further discussion?
No, but I would like to be noted that on item number 4, I'd abstain.
I will too.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like a consent calendar item pulled for further discussion? Okay, with that, I will bring it back to the council for direction on the consent calendar items.
Move for approval of, I can go ahead and just do 4 since they abstained, right?
Correct.
Okay, so move for approval 1 through 10.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Durossette abstained on 4,
On 4, yes. on
but
the rest.
approved the rest of consent. Councilmember Lane,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kline abstained.
On 4 and
4
yes. on-
only, and yes on the rest.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno
Yes.
and Mayor Vierra.
Yes. Okay, next we will move to unfinished business. We have none. Public hearing, we have none. New business, we have 2 items. First is resolution number 2016-03, authorizing amendment of the Measure H expenditure plan. Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As we discussed back in November, the Measure H expenditure plan is necessary to make some amendments to that plan in order to reflect really the balance between expenditures and the revenue that we've seen in that plan. I won't go back over the details of where we've come with that plan, but we are in year 8 of the expenditure plan. And with the council's direction, we did go to the Measure H Oversight Committee, presented the similar information and got their direction. And what you have in front of you this evening is the committee's direction or request to the council for approval of some changes to the Measure H expenditure plan, which primarily just removes the proposed expenditures that were in the original plan for years 8, 9, and 10, changing the forecast to 1.5% increase over the next really 3 years, this year and the next 2, and then re-looking at the plan. Really, their direct mission is re-looking at the plan on an annual basis, but for planning horizon on a 3-year basis. So that's the Oversight Committee's recommendation, and that would be staff's recommendation as well. And the thing to note is changes for next year's budget, fiscal year 16-17, we will need to make some cuts of what is funded through Measure H and most likely be moved into the general fund in the ballpark range of about $400,000 based on what we're currently projecting of where the expenditures and revenues would fall for next year. As we've discussed, the last couple of years we've been spending down a balance that was achieved early in the program, and that was by design, but this will be the last year of having a balance in those Measure H funds, and we'll need to be balanced next year, matching expenditures, and that will be the change that we made in this upcoming budget. And I'm available for any questions you may have.
All right. Does anyone on the council have any questions on this item? All right, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council for direction.
Move to approve resolution number 2016-03.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Durossette,
Yes.
Councilmember Lane,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kline,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno,
Yes.
and Mayor Vierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Number 12, resolution number 2016-04, repealing resolution number 2007-106 and establishing the rules and procedures for the city council. Mr. Wells?
Thank you, Mayor. This item is really a cleanup item. The rules and procedures were adopted really all the way back to 1976 was the first adoption of the rules really for how the council governs itself during the conducting of these meetings and getting to these meetings. It was updated in 2007 and put it really kind of in a more formal format. That was the last resolution that kind of adopted it. And 2013, we did a minor adjustment as we changed to action minutes at that point in time. And so this evening, with the changes that we've gone through in the last year with the change to roll call voting, the time change from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m., the district elections, the adjustments to study sessions, we thought it was appropriate to update of the document to reflect those changes. So in the staff report, you have a red line version that shows exactly what we changed from the last version that the council adopted, as well as a clean version that's attached to the resolution that show the document as it would be approved if the council so approves it. The overall concept is once this is approved, we would put a copy in your binders, so you would have that for every meeting in the back of your binders, and it would stay in there. You'd have that as a reference because it does include the Rosenberg's Rules of Order and have you a quick reference guide for things that come up during a meeting that you may have a question on. So It's a really relatively straightforward, and I'm available for any questions you may have on any of those suggested changes in the document.
All right, is there anyone on the council that has any questions on this item?
I do. I'm curious why we elect the vice mayor, or why he's appointed every 2 years rather than 1 year, like other cities do, and why the planning commission does it every year.
Anybody have a history? I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't have any history on how, that's the way it was in the 2007 version. I know it's relative to the election, so every 2 years we have an election versus the planning commission. They tend to have their staggered, there's 2 in 1 year now, but they tend to be every year, so there's a change there.
But other cities do it every year as well.
Yeah, it's really at the council's, there's nothing, Tom, unless you know, there's nothing legal that requires it. It's really, this is one of the procedures that the council has the authority to.
Yeah, it's just, excuse me. It's just your custom and practice. It's true that most are 1 year, but apparently here it's 2, so. Government code just provides that you make this, the mayor proposes and the full council approves for whatever.
Well, and previously, wasn't it the mayor was elected every 2 years until about 8 years ago?
Yeah.
You know,
No, a
so,
little longer, maybe.
yeah, but the mayor was elected every 2 years.
Yeah, it's probably why it was on a 2-year rotation. I mean, I'm open to change it if that's how you want, but it's always been 2 years since I've been.
Well, I think I would like to see it be done every year. I mean, if it was, and what you're saying is, it does sound like it was part of the mayor being elected every 2 years.
Yeah, and we've tried to rotate it so that everybody at least got a shot as it went through. But I don't have a problem moving it every, well.
Well, yeah, but this is my first time around, so, I mean, if you guys want to change it 2 years from now, that's fine.
You get the short end of the stick is what you suggest.
That's right, I mean. I mean, I'm not going to entertain the motion.
How about we do this, and at the end of his 2-year term, we'll go every year? Would that work?
That's what everyone wants to do.
Hey,
I don't agree with that,
I'll
but
go
that's what
for that
everyone
one.
wants to do. Are we going to bring it back then in 2 years?
However, council will direct, you can give us the direction.
In 2 years, let's do it every year, when Mike's term's up. Because then you will have served 2, then you serve 2, and then you serve 2.
She gets the short end.
I'll vote along with you, but you got the other 3 that'll probably go the other way.
Okay, then I would like to see it every year, starting now.
Okay. So, is that, wait. Okay, that was the first question, all right. Any other questions? Because I'll bring it back and then we can have a motion. All right, at this time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing that, I'll bring it back to the council for more discussion and or direction. So is that a motion, excuse me,
Do
Councilmember
I need
Ryno?
to make a motion? Are we just discussing?
Well, ultimately, we do need a resolution to approve this. But if you want to amend, or that's council's direction there. We have a motion, we have a resolution in the document for approval, which repeals the previous adopted version and puts this version in place. But we can make any edits or changes that you would direct us, and it would be appropriate as well.
Okay, then I move to adopt resolution number 2016-004 with an amendment to item F, that it be appointed at 1 year rather than 2 years.
Starting
2016? Yeah, when, according to this, it's going to be effective now.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Can I second it so that we can I do that, Tom? Sure. Okay, so I will second it so that we can go through the roll call vote, and we'll see how this goes. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Ryno,
Yes.
Mayor Vierra,
Yes.
Councilmember Durossette,
No.
Councilmember Lane,
No.
Vice Mayor Kline.
No.
Motion fails 3-2.
So now, Mike, sorry, I was going to call you
Now
Mike.
I will entertain if they want to do it in 2 years. To
Well,
to
I
bring
think
it
we have
back.
to have another motion because
Yeah.
the whole thing failed.
Hang on,
Okay.
Councilmember Klein. I think what we should do is, because you were counting on doing it for 2 years, that when 2 years is up, we bring it back. And then the council may be changed by then, because Councilmember Lane could be gone, Councilmember Ryno could be gone. And then whatever that body is at that time makes a motion. And we bring it back, and then we'll make a decision based upon at that time.
Make your motion.
I make a motion for that.
We have a second?
Second.
Here we have a motion, a second. Can we have the roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Durossette,
Yes?
Councilmember Lane,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kline,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryno.
No.
Motion passes 4-1.
You forgot the mayor.
Oh, Mayor Vierra, sorry.
You're right, it was
So
a done
sorry.
deal already. I don't really have to vote, but I would say yes as well, so,
Motion passes 4-1.
okay. Item number 13, Whitmore Mansion. Mr. Wells?
Thank you, Mayor. As we've done for the past few years, the Whitmore Mansion, this is in essence the fourth quarterly report of this year. The mansion has been owned by the city of Ceres since January 14th of 2013. The mansion was purchased using a combination of park development funds and community development funds. Those are both public facilities fees, so there was no general funds that were used in the purchase of the mansion. Since the purchase, the Whitmore Foundation has been operating the mansion on a day-to-day basis through an agreement with the city. That agreement is a one-year agreement. And as we discussed last year, we extended the agreement for another year, so this would be the conversation with the council as to what direction you'd like to provide for staff for both either the short term for another one-year extension or longer, or if the council wishes to change direction on the path that we're currently going on. A couple of highlights that were referenced in the staff report, just on the overall theme of the numbers. The overall expenses are being managed very well. The revenues are increasing, but they are currently not covering those complete expenses. There's approximately about $400 a month average over the last 2 years that was, in essence, building in an account to the net of about $18,000 that is outstanding, shall we say. All in all, the foundation has done an outstanding job. I really want to thank Lisa Montero Moore for all her efforts and the fantastic job that they've done there, continuing to keep the mansion in good shape, as well as building the online presence from a marketing standpoint and getting people to use it. It has become that really nice venue for folks with outdoor weddings and that type of thing. So it is something that is really a community asset, but at the same time, the council has not committed to a long-term plan here. That's what we're looking for, council direction for both short-term and a long-term. We did provide 7 different alternatives there. In essence, the same alternatives that we discussed last year at the same time. So we look for council's direction and any questions you may have.
Okay, is there any questions of staff? All right, at this time I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone that'd like to speak on this item?
Lisa Montero Moore, 3929 Helen Perry. As the chairperson of our foundation, I would like to thank the council for its ability to let us continue a portion of Ceres history, trying to preserve our downtown integrity and having the opportunity to serve our public as best we can. With me tonight are members of our board, Shane Parson, Rocky Fisher, Shelley Katrakis, and Susan Borges. We have other board members that couldn't be here this evening but did send their best wishes. We have had a really interesting year with the mansion. We've actually, for an operation with no budget, we seem to be able to manage. We have provided the city a steady increase in revenue as we try to solicit venues and people who want to purchase the opportunity to use the facility. And with having not only a very tiny online presence and word of mouth, been able to increase that on a yearly basis. We've also been successful with becoming a member of the chamber. And we've had 2 chamber events there. One we had in May, which was one of their whiskey celebration day or something of that nature. And then we hosted a chamber mixer in October. We were actually the host. So it's been really a great opportunity to have a little bit more of a partnership with our community advocates. And you'll be pleased to hear this, but it looks like we'll be able to host some portion of the street fair activities, you guys don't even know this part yet, at the mansion on that weekend, which I know will make some people very happy. So we're really trying to come up with different creative ways to utilize the facility, protect it, and give it back to the community as often as we can.
Are there any questions?
It would be our goal. The once a year basis is challenging only because it's hard to book somebody for a later time period, or kind of like, gosh, how much work can we put into the facility at the end of the year if we run the risk of not having the facility available to do that? And so it's hard for us to find sponsors and donors to help cover some of our possible projects without that type of direction. So if we were able to have a future conversation about opportunities, allows us to have some type of unique public-private partnership with the city, unique in the sense that it's maybe more than the 1 year at a time or something very creative, we'd be entertaining that.
So 2 years would be good?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to thank you and everybody that's on the foundation. I mean, going by there just this morning, it's a lot of work, I guarantee you, and I see it all the time. But you guys are doing a good job, and I appreciate it. So.
I'd also like to thank the city staff. Jeremy's team works really hard, and whenever we have some unusual thing, which happens with a 100-year-old house, they're able to try to answer our questions. But at the same time, we also utilize local resources, and we make repairs on the AC at our expense and try to use local folks to help us out.
Okay. So your goal would be you would like to, if ideally, multi-year.
At this juncture, since we're here for our annual review, I would say a multi-year act would be positive. But then with further review of the TOT and other opportunities, I would like to be able to see how we can assist the mansion in that fashion.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Mr. Kline?
I'm like Councilmember Durossette. I mean, I think the foundation should be commended for, keeping the city's expenses down to a minimum, and they've done an excellent job. I have no problem extending it to a 2-year, agreement with quarterly reports and updates like they've done in the past. But also, I think that, we should look at some kind of long-term lease or selling the thing, because to me, eventually, the mansion itself, the inside of it, the structure and everything like that, it's just going to catch up with us as far as putting money into it. I know that it was probably maybe 10 years ago, the thing was old, decapitated, that's the right word, but the shutters were going down, and a lot of money was put into it to paint it and bring it back up to standards and things like that, that I think that, eventually, we're going to have to do something to the inside of it. So, if we don't come up with some kind of long-term lease agreement and whatnot, the city's going to wind up spending money to maintain it. But yet the foundation's done an excellent job currently of keeping the city's expenses down to a minimum, and the whole foundation should be commended for what they've done and all the work they've done into it. But I don't know how long that's going to last as far as the structure itself.
Okay. Councilmember Lane?
Yeah, I think it would be good to, kind of loosen our wings up here a little bit, because I know I've spoke with folks in the community that would be interested in an investment, but they don't really know, is the city going to sell it? We're going to put this money in and give this to the foundation, and we're going to better, the property to where the value is more than what it is today because of the money that's being put into it. So I think what Lisa was saying was there are folks out there that would like to invest in this property, but she needs to have that window opened up a little bit more to where she can go to some of these folks and share some of the thoughts that need to happen, like possibly the painting and possibly bathrooms down there, the different avenues that we've all talked about in the past, and some of the things that are on our plan now that needs to be constructed and moving forward, with electrical. And I know there's several issues I know that we've looked at, but if we could give the foundation a little more latitude to move forward and looking for, investors, if you will, that would invest in the foundation and spend their money wisely and as a tax write-off, if you will, but be a part of this community. I know there's folks in this community that would be willing to do that, but again, I think it comes back to us. Well, if the city's gonna, keep this just structure going for a while just with the foundation, and then all of a sudden decide they want to sell it, I don't know that you're gonna get that kind of buy-in. So I think it's more of a long-term, and I don't know that this discussion here should be taking place tonight based on this, but I think it's a discussion that should take place in the future.
I personally don't have a problem if they wanted a 3-year or even a 5-year lease. It's fine with me. One of the things I wanted to ask Mr. Wells on is, what's the timing to bring back the discussion on the TOT and potentially being able to use just a small portion of that to help offset some of these costs so that it isn't a draw? I mean, that's now a windfall that we do have.
Yeah, so the TOT's effective date is July 1. So with the budget for the upcoming process, the budget will identify, what we expect those revenues to be. And so through that budget process is when we would have, we'd look for council direction as to how to allocate those funds. Okay. That is, I think current year, we're getting about 85,000 as what we got last year, fiscal year 14-15. So a doubling of that without any increase, there's about $85,000 there. We would be looking for direction from council on where to allocate those funds. So that would be through the budget process, April, May, and even into the workshop that we're trying to schedule with the council, and that would be part of that conversation.
Okay. All right. So.
Well, I mean, you want to ask, is it 3-year, 4-year?
I would once say, and talking to Lisa, she did say 3 years would be better. The one thing I will say, if we go longer than that, we might want to revisit the entire agreement, because the agreement was structured as a 1-year, and we would set up some parameters. I would recommend this, do a 2-year agreement, and then this time next year, we would look at a complete reformulation of the agreement. So we just amend it to allow 2 years, because there's some provisions in the original agreement that we should revisit and restructure if we're going to go to a 5-year agreement.
What if we just gave you direction to work on that with them on a 3-year deal?
We can do that as well. If we get the further out we go, the more concern I have with a few of those terms that, this should be reworked based on the way it was originally structured.
Would 3 years work for you if that were to be offered? Yeah, okay. All right, well, look for direction.
Yeah, this is a discussion item, so just looking for direction. So what we would do is bring back at the next meeting the actual agreement, the amendment. It would be amendment number 3 with those items that you've incorporated. So we would bring that back to you for action at the next meeting.
Okay, let me ask, is there any objection to offering a 3-year?
No.
No.
Okay, the direction would be to offer, I'm looking around here, to offer a 3-year term, work with the foundation. Okay, thank you. Last item is item number 14, strategic plan update. Mr. Wells?
Thank you again, Mayor. The strategic plan, as council, at least some members of the council remember, back in 2007, it was before my time here with the city, was a pretty intensive retreat process that created a pretty detailed strategic plan the council put in place in 2007. It was identified as 2007 through 2012. It was updated in 2008, added a few little tweaks to the overall document, but that has been kind of the guiding strategic plan document for staff, and it's referenced in every one of our staff reports, and it has been identified by our general plan consultant as a document that they found useful through the proposal process, as well as they've kind of as they're getting started on the general plan. They found that to be a very useful document. So for tonight's discussion, really looking for council's direction as to how you'd like to proceed. The document, as it says through 2012, and obviously the economic downturn changed the focus for the council from where we're in accomplishing a lot of things to more of a survival mode. And as we come out of that survival mode, what would the council like to do with the strategic plan? So kind of the options, the range of options would be, one, kind of leave it as is and don't do any adjustments to it. Option two is kind of what I have proposed there, some minimal adjustments to it, but keep the overall format and structure the same, but just kind of reflect those few goal changes to get this thing structured for a 2-year time frame to get us through the general plan process. And then with the general plan update, when that's completed, then do a new strategic plan, which would be in essence, it'd be the document for the implementation of the general plan. You could use it in that respect. And the third option would be to, schedule a full retreat and conversation and do the whole strategic plan process now, which, for those of you who recall, it's a pretty iterative process. It could take, probably a couple workshop days to get a document put together. So I look for council's direction. If you want to talk through the red lines that I put together, that was really just a starting point. The other adjustment to that is we could just put this conversation off until the workshop that we're scheduling and have that conversation then as well. So at this point, I just wanted to get the conversation started and get you thinking about what that strategic plan says and what the best way to make some amendments to that if the council so desires.
One of the things I was going to maybe propose is at that March 4th session, maybe we take an hour just to kind of go. I don't think I'm looking for wholesale changes, because I think you made a good point that we have 2 years for the general plan and then we could revise it. So unless someone on the council thinks that we're going to need more than an hour or so to go through this, might not be a good idea. It might be a good idea to do that on that March 4th meeting. Does anybody have an objection to that?
No.
Yeah. And the reason why I brought it up here is last year we had it on the goal setting meeting as well at the bottom of the agenda, and we kind of ran out of time. So I brought it up so at least we'll get this process started. So hopefully on that day we can get through it.
Well, you can move it to the top of the agenda.
I was going to say, can you put it to the top of the list?
Yeah, do that first and dedicate an hour to it. I'll put that on the schedule. That way we make sure we accomplish it. That works.
Okay. All right, this time I'll open up to the audience. Does anyone want to comment on this item? All right, with that, we will move to council member referrals. Is there anyone on the council that would like to have an item placed on a future agenda?
I don't know if I'd put it on a future agenda, but there's been some concerns. There was the apartment complex, Tommy might help me with this, that was added on Evans Road. And there's a couple residents that live over there that have concerns because there's not enough parking or people choose not to park. It's the brown one. I don't even know the name of the place. I was contacted again today.
Is it the Almond Terrace?
I think so.
Almond Terrace
Yeah,
apartments?
so they have the 2-story. There's two parking on one side, goes all the way over, and then on Evans. Well, the concern is people are parking there and they're dropping their garbage, and the people that live there, one particular house might be selling, has a concern they're not going to be able to sell it, and just kind of looking for answers in that regard.
We'll look into it.
Okay.
See what we can find.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Move to reports. This time, I have nothing to report. Councilmember Ryno?
Nothing, Mayor.
Vice Mayor Kline?
Nothing.
Councilmember Lane?
Nothing, Mayor.
Councilmember Durossette?
Nothing.
Okay. Mr. Halland?
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Wells?
A couple quick reports. First, we do have a ribbon cutting scheduled for this Thursday for the Ceres Partnership for Healthy Children. That is an open house, I believe, from 3 to 6 p.m. with the ribbon cutting at 4. They're at their new offices on El Camino and Mayor, what's the street? Grandview, thank you. The next thing, just city offices are closed on Monday, just a reminder for folks. StanCOG will be considering, StanCOG Policy Board will be considering the half-cent sales tax expenditure plan at their next meeting on the 20th, so that's next week. You mentioned the council workshop on 3-4. Also, just a heads up for the council, the Monterey Park track. As you recall, we approved agreement to serve them water. They are scheduling a groundbreaking for next Tuesday, January 19th. I will send that out to you, get that on your councils if you're so inclined to attend. They do have their funding in place, and they are requesting the connection fee in the range of $560,000. That should be coming to us here shortly. And lastly, I want to thank Lori and her efforts as our city clerk. She's done a fantastic job for us, and she's got a couple days here, transition of helping in transition. The second part of the announcement, the introduction of our new city clerk, Diane. And again, thankful for Lori, but at the same time, very excited for Diane joining us, and we look forward to a long career here with us at Ceres.
Great. Mr. Westbrook.
Just wanted to remind the council that on the 28th of January will be the first community workshop for the general plan update. There is a general plan update website specific to the general plan at ceresgeneralplanupdate.com. Last week, the staff sent out a save the date for that community workshop. We have 500 folks on that email list. And then I also did get to present to the Ceres Seroptimists last week to kind of talk to them about the general plan update. So if there's any organization or group that you know of that would like to see me and hear about that effort, just let me know, and I'm happy to set up a time to speak with them. Also, I just wanted to let you know that the county planning directors, this year we host a workshop for planning commission members. This one's going to be a little bit unique. Mike Durkee, who does Subdivision Map Act law, planning and zoning law in CEQA, is going to be speaking on February 27th. We've kind of put that out to all of the planning agencies, but I wanted to mention it to the council because Mike Durkee's pretty well known in the industry in terms of especially the Subdivision Map Act. So if you'd like to attend that, let me know and we can get you registered.
Great. Mr. Jordan?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Nichols? Ms. Ferris? Mr. Domin? No. Mr. Britton? Ms. Dean? Supervisor DeMartini.
I was going to bring up the groundbreaking at Monterey Park.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. DeMartini.
All right, with that, we will go ahead and adjourn to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be Monday, January 25th at 6 p.m. Thank you.